What is up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of the Hook It podcast. Once again, this episode is proudly supported by saxunderwear.com. For me, the English winter has well and truly set in, and it's going to be cold for the next few months. So it's time to make a switch over to the Black Sheep boxer short. The Black Sheep is naturally thermoregulating and naturally moisture wicking. They're made from 95% merino wool, with the remaining 5% being made from elastane. So that means that they stay in place, they don't fall down, and they don't ride up, so no more unwanted wedgies. And of course, they feature the patented ballpark pouch, which if you've not experienced it, is like an angel's hand, perfect temperature, cupping your nuts all day. Until you've experienced that, you are not living your best life. For more information, head to saxunderwear.com or go into your local bike shop, outdoor store, or skate store and just ask for Sax Underwear. It's that simple. We are also supported by 35bikes.com, and 35 Bikes are dedicated to bringing you the best bike components for the best prices. So we mainly focus on consumables like brake pads, which start from just $6.99. We have a new mudguard range, which is made right here in sunny/cold Sheffield. And if you go to 35bikes.com and enter the promo code podcast, you will get 20% off your entire order and also take advantage of free shipping. Okay, let's hand over right now to our good friend Ollie Wilkins for a special and heartfelt Christmas message.
Yes, of course, the whistling of me, Ollie Wilkins. I'm here to introduce you to a Christmas edition of the Hook It podcast, my favourite mountain bike podcast. I thought I might take this opportunity to remind you what Christmas is really about, because it's often forgotten, often something that we fail to mention, and that what it is actually really historically about is, of course, receiving gifts, items, material possessions, and sometimes not liking them and exchanging them for currency. And I want to take this opportunity to say I hope you all get as many material items and currency as possible, so you can stuff your faces with chocolate and food and buy electronic items that will probably outlast you. Hope you enjoy the episode, and happy Christmas.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Hook It podcast. Very shortly, I'm going to be joined by Matt Jones, but as it's the final episode of 2018, I want to take this opportunity to say a few thank yous. Most importantly, huge thank you to you guys for listening. In 2018, the podcast has seen exponential growth, and it's all down to you guys for listening. So massive thank you. If you've listened, engaged, entered competitions, whatever, if it wasn't for you guys, you know, I definitely wouldn't be sat here doing this. So massive thank you to everybody for listening. Massive thank you to some of our guests. Well, all of our guests too. This year we've seen some crazy guests, including Ryan Nyquist, Danny Maccaskill, Geordie Lunn, Martin Soderstrom, Ben Cathro, Matt McDuff, Ollie Wilkins, Jed Milden, just to name a few. And very shortly, we will be launching our annual Guest of the Year competition. And you'll be able to vote for your favourite guest, give us a reason why, and you'll go into a competition to win a bunch of prizes. And also we will give a prize to our 2018 Guest of the Year too. This year there was also a live podcast from Crankworx, so massive thanks to the Crankworx team for facilitating that. Huge thanks to Rich Payne for being the star of our EWS or Bus series. Again, massive growth on the EWS or Bus series. Hopefully that comes back for 2019. Keep you posted on that. And of course, everyone who so far has donated money to Project Change. If you're not sure what Project Change is, it's a new initiative that I launched to basically help bring together the podcast community and the wider mountain bike community to be a force for good. On this occasion, I'm trying to raise money for two very, very important charities. One of which gets disabled people out cycling by using adapted bikes. So I'm trying to raise money to buy an adapted bike. The other charity is a mental health cycling charity, and they get people out of hospital, off the hospital wards and out into fresh air and cycling. And I guess that leads me perfectly to say a massive thank you to everybody at Marin Bikes. Marin have agreed to donate a bike for every bike that we buy. So it's basically buy one, get one free, which is going to help massively. So massive thank you to everyone at Marin Bikes for doing that. Please, if you haven't donated money yet, I can't even begin to tell you how much it would mean to me if you can do that. There is a link in the show description to donate. You can keep updated, you can read the full story, all that stuff. Just click, make a donation, Project Change in the show description, and you will be shown exactly what we're trying to achieve and be able to make a donation this Christmas as well. I've decided to roll Project Change out for another couple of weeks. The plan initially, if I'm being totally transparent, was to do it before Christmas, but it doesn't look like that's going to be achievable due to time constraints and businesses closing who are going to buy the bikes from, so all that stuff. So probably going to be the first few weeks in January I'll be able to go and deliver the bikes and keep you guys updated. So please check that out if you haven't already. Last but not least, we've got to give some Sax away. All you have to do to be able to win some Sax underwear is leave a review on iTunes. Every episode we give away a pair of Sax underwear at minimum. There's also a few other little bits going out to people that have won, so just head to iTunes, leave a review, and you'll automatically be entered. This episode, I'm going to give some away to Radar UK, that's your iTunes name, who left a really, really good review. So if that's you, reach out on a direct message and I will send you some Sax goodies. And that's it. Let's not hold this thing up any longer. And welcome to the show, Matt Jones.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, I'm easy. I'm chill. I mean, I've had some episodes have been pretty short. Some have been long. Like Boris's was super long. Actually, I had to edit that down to 3 hours, but we chatted for ages.
3 hours.
Yeah, Boris can chat. Like he goes off. So there we go. Cool, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rock and roll. All right, let's just carry on from there.
Cool.
Quick intro. Finally on the podcast, Matt Jones. We've been exchanging messages, I feel like, for a little bit and sort of overlapping on schedules and all that sort of stuff, but we finally managed to lay this thing down. Big up to John as well, like John Aldale from Marin, linking this together.
Yeah, what a boy. It's cool. Yeah, sorry for all the delays, but I'm glad we're like sat comfortably and we can just run our mouths about all the necessary things now.
Yeah, for sure. Chat. It's better than just rushing it. And like I actually met you briefly at Crankworks in Leger. I was out there doing some stuff for Crankworks, really briefly. I think you were having dinner, and I was with Chris Greenwood.
Oh yeah.
I was with Chris. Yeah. I met Chris out there actually. He'd been sort of exchanging messages through the podcast stuff and whatever, and then we finally met and we said a quick hello, but you know.
Now, here we are, proper podcast
here we are.
Chat. How did you find Crankworks?
It was good, man. Like, I was out there a little bit out of my comfort zone, if I'm honest. So, how it all works. I had Darren, who is Crankworks GM, on the podcast a few weeks before Crankworks Leger. And after we finished recording, I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do something like live from Crankworks? And he was like, yeah, all right, come out then. So I'm like, oh, okay. So basically bought some equipment to record live, because obviously most of the episodes have been done over Skype and stuff. And just sort of got thrown into the deep end of just like, right, make something for Crankworks. I was like, okay. So I just did like some, live sort of stuff, grabbed chats with people, just had to pull people out. But the thing is, like, as you know from Leger, the schedules were all over the place, because things kept getting chopped and changed.
Yeah,
so
they
it was
didn't
tough.
they?
Yeah,
it was hectic actually.
It was tough to like get people, but moving forward, I think it's definitely could be something. We could do something way better than just like heading out there with no plan and just trying to like speak to people that I already know, or one of the girls from Crankworks was super helpful. She was like grabbing athletes and being like, "Oh, meet Davey at this point," and stuff like that, which worked really good. But again, it could have been better, but it came out pretty good, I think.
If you're going to do a podcast at any mountain bike event, it's got to be Crankworks. That's the pinnacle, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You'd never run out of stuff to talk about with all those events going on.
No.
Enduro, downhill, slopestyle, speed and style, dual slalom.
Yeah,
that's actually the podcast dream right there.
It is, dude. It could be. There's some stuff happening behind the scenes to sort of try and make this happen. But yeah, like a friend of mine, Jace, who runs the Gypsy Tales podcast, which is really good. He's just done something quite similar at the Australian Supercross series. So he's gone and had like a couch and stuff, and people literally just drop by throughout the day and just have a chat. And I think that's kind of what it needs there, because it was just, you know how it is, man. It was just hard just to be like, right, let me go find someone. And you walk around the pits. It's like, oh, Nikolai, can I have a quick chat? And it's weird. But
if you push all that stuff together with loads of different riders, you end up with something really cool. And spontaneous, which is sweet.
Well, that's kind of what it was in the end. There was 3 episodes, like one a day. And it was just little bits of sound bites from whoever I could see walking around or whoever we could grab. So yeah, it was cool. I totally screwed up though with Nikolai, because we recorded something underneath one of the ramps on the slopestyle course for we probably chatted for half an hour, and it was gold. It's coming into that final it was Leger, so he had to win that one, I don't know, to take the overall.
Yeah, the Triple Crown.
Yeah. So it was gold, and I didn't know how to use this recording thing that
You're joking?
Nah, I just didn't even press record. So, and then he was super cool, actually, Nikolai, because he was like, "Oh, let's just do it again." I'm like, but we never saw each other again, and so, you live and learn, man. You live and learn, don't you?
Yeah, there we are.
But yeah, it's growing. We're doing good. Things are, the numbers are doing well.
Cool.
And,
good to see. Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. So, usually like to kick these things off by finding out a little bit more about Matt Jones and how you sort of ended up in this position, highlight of your career, being on this podcast. In fact, I was looking the other day. I know you had a 4-cross background.
Yeah,
we did a bunch of the same events as well. In the early days, we crossed paths. You were a few categories below me, obviously, because you were quite a lot younger than me. But yeah, how did you initially get into mountain biking? I know it's quite an open-ended question, but how did you?
So you want me to sort of shape the storyline of how discovering bikes allowed me to be on this podcast, and it all become full circle? And
that's what we're going to try and aim for.
All right, good. All right, so it was quite I'd say a stereotypical start story. It was discovering just jumps in the local woods that was within riding distance. And I have a twin brother, Jono, so I was lucky enough to have kind of like a riding buddy and a twin, which is super healthy because you're both the same age, same size, literally like same everything. So you can push each other. But then there's always, you get home and if Jono had done a jump that I hadn't done or a trick that I couldn't do, it was like super concerning and stressful. So like we progressed quite fast in that aspect because it was proper head-to-head rivalry, but in a healthy way. And then that led to kind of growing up with bikes a bit. A couple of years passed. We did some digging, dirt jumps, downhill tracks. Woburn improved, luckily, through that time, through a strong scene anyway. Woburn was those jumps, by the way.
Yeah.
That's where I first did mountain biking, and now where I'm still digging and riding, which is really cool. So that was like the access to the sport, and discovering it was just pure chance, really. And then from there, it was dabbling in all the areas and all the disciplines of mountain biking for years. We did 4-cross racing. We're super lucky. Like my mum and my dad would sort of take it in turns to take us to races or go together, and we'd all stay in B&Bs and do the proper national 4-cross series. And I think that was quite an important stepping stone in mountain biking, because 4-cross is like, it ticks a lot of boxes in terms of bike control and like
I agree totally.
Ride a bike, not under like stressful conditions, but like you have to turn it on at the exact right time, don't you? And that's like where biking becomes not more serious, but like a bit more calculated, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we did that for a few years and had a few like good. I think I got second in the national championships overall, and when I was really young. And Jono did the same the following year, I think. So we had some success, but it was just a good crack, and that was a strong sort of scene. Four-cross was felt big then, and in all the riding videos, they'd document four-cross racing. It was in the magazine, so it felt like a cool space to be in. And then my brother always, during that time, loved riding downhill, and I really liked doing dirt jumping. So we kind of like split a bit, forked off and did our own thing. Which worked well, actually, because by that time when we're sort of starting to pick up some sponsors where you get free bits and stuff, we got more competitive with each other, and being on the same racetrack at the same time was like, I actually remember going down a track at UK Bike Park. I don't know if that still exists. And I was in third and Jono was in second, and I needed that one spot to win like the overall for that. I don't remember. And I was screaming at him mid-race, let me get past you, like, let me win. It was so like pretty embarrassing, actually, if you think about it. Like, it's just fair and square quicker, and I was screaming in a race, like there's people watching and listening, like asking him to let me by. So I'm not like that anymore.
Did he let you by?
No, did he? Fuck, no way. He took that one. So it was quite funny, really.
Yeah.
But then, so I actually did a year of downhill, did the nationals, and never finished a race run that whole year. I sucked at downhill.
Really?
I feel like I'm sometimes quite fast. Like if you're filming a video on one section, do you know what I mean? Like from corner to corner, I can go quite quick. But to extend that across a whole race run for 2, 3, 4 minutes, I really suck. I cannot put it together for a whole run. Kind of like sidestepped that and ended up doing dirt jumping back at Woburn and went to my contest. So it's quite like quite a long-winded introduction, but
no, it's cool. It's cool.
Bit of everything, and ended up enjoying the tricks the most.
It's interesting though that like you and Johnny like grew up together riding and stuff, and you pushed each other. There's been like an underlying theme with this podcast that a lot of people that have been on it have sort of like been isolated and got into riding and not even known that they were doing the sport which they became like one of the best in the world at. So Danny Mac, for example, he literally lived in Scotland, had no idea what he was doing, just riding bikes, then figured, holy shit, like I've created a genre almost. And then the last guest, was it last? Yeah, second to last, Jed Milden.
Oh, wow.
Dude, like he had no idea. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, I didn't realize I was like building some of the biggest dirt jumps in the world. Like I didn't even know I was doing it. So that's cool though that you're like vibing off each other and like pushed each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that kind of goes back to Woburn, my local bike park, because at a young age, and until I went to my first sort of international contest, in my eyes, Woburn was the centre of the universe for mountain biking. People used to drive there from a good few hours away, and I'd think, wow, this must be the only riding spot in the country. People drive here from so far away. I'm so lucky. It's only 5-10 minutes from my house. I can ride here. And then you start to learn that there's like all these other bike parks that they're driving past, and there's like in like the UK is tiny, right? We've got so many spots to ride, but I was like, wow, Woburn must just be it. That's the only place to ride. Then I went to an international contest with the tricks they were my best tricks, but I was certain like, wow, I'm gonna come dead last here. I've got some dirt jumps that have been built in the woods, and these guys have probably got like huge airbags and stuff. And it went really well, actually. I came 10th overall against kind of everyone in the world at Vienna Air King. And then I was kind of thinking, wow, maybe it is the centre of the universe. It's everything I need. So I doubted it. But ultimately, if you've got a local bike park and some jumps that tick all the boxes, then just go with it, grow it, run it, and that's going to be all you need, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I was one of those guys as well, mate, driving down to Woburn to ride those trails. Yeah, I like did a lot of dirt jumping like a few years ago now. I mean, I'm talking same sort of time I raced four-cross, so probably 10 years ago. I'd head down Woburn and ride those things. And
it was 10 years ago, those races, really.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? I was looking at the results the other night. I was like, Jesus Christ, as if it's that long ago. It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
But those weekends were killer, though. Those they
were the best.
MPS races were so cool. And
I know. Good.
Like you say, you learn a lot of bike skill. You learn about being in the gate and everyone watching you and all that sort of stuff. It shapes you, doesn't it?
And pumping, like the
Yeah.
ability to pump and not pedal. Sounds bizarre, and you think a mountain bike race comes all down to pedaling, but you soon learn that you can generate more speed without pedaling sometimes.
True.
And that's like a transferable skill that I use every day, riding slopestyle contests and stuff. So,
yeah.
no, when you talk about where you've come from and kind of those key moments and what you've tried and what you did, it's pretty cool to kind of break down what formulated what you are now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it is definitely
it's fun being on a podcast.
It's cool, man. That's what it's all about. It's therapy.
Yeah, true. God, don't break it down. I'll be in tears.
Oh dear. All right. So it's obviously you and Jono took separate forks in the sport. He went off racing downhill and doing some endurance stuff, and went to university too, I believe.
Yeah.
Who's the oldest one, by the way?
Jono's 7 minutes older than me.
Is he? Okay.
Yes, I was the run to the litter.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go to university, but decided. Well, no, we both did a gap year to give riding a good crack, and it went really well. Jono ended up going to uni in the end, so I'm sure he'll have the last laugh in a few years. But I'm still making the most of it now.
So what? You already had a uni in mind, what you were gonna study, all that sort of stuff, and then just decided.
It was weird, yeah. I was going to do a mechanical engineering degree because I really like sort of maths and physics. I'm a bit of a geek deep down, which I'm proud to say. But I did this a gap year just to say kind of I'll always regret not giving it a good crack riding. So I did a solid year of riding as much as possible, digging, getting to these contests where you do need sort of free time and a free calendar to get to. So it's a bit of sacrifice, but it went really well.
Right.
And I guess I don't really remember where the cutoff point was where I decided to extend that and carry on riding. But I think it was just kind of gaining momentum and breaking new ground and thinking there is pace to this and it's going somewhere. So I should probably sacrifice another year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't be more happy with making that decision. It is a bold. It's there's risk involved, isn't there?
There is definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely. And we did some quite similar actually. So I left school at 16. I think it's it's quite a deep conversation if you really want to get into it. But when you get to 16, for me, you've been at school for however many years,
basically your whole life.
Yeah, and you're over it. I was at 16. I was I'm over it. I just want to ride dirt bikes. That's what I want to do at 16. I don't want to go to A levels or uni or anything like that. I just want to get the hell out of here. So I just went to California.
Sick.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, dude. But I was there for nearly 4 years. It just stayed. But I think at that age as well, you probably don't necessarily know what you want to do. So taking that year out and going, right, is this my thing or is university my thing is kind of important. What were your parents like though? Were they keen on the idea?
Yeah, they were super. Honestly, they were super supportive. It's there's always the age I got into it. There wasn't that much evidence that it's a professional career. There wasn't Instagram, Facebook. You couldn't recognize that is that person professional or do they get free bikes like you? And so I couldn't really I couldn't really create a presentation to show to my parents. It's this is what I want to do. These are the pros. It was kind of I just want to keep riding my bike, and I have a belief that it is a career, so I'm going to try it. And they were really supportive. I think to start with, they were pretty stoked that I'd got into uni and that was a plan. But
there is a plan B. It's not just all
exactly.
in.
There we go. I think if anyone at home's listening and they're trying to explain to their parents they want to be a pro rider, just pitch in the plan B just so they know there's one there. And then you can't lose. Yeah.
And what at that sort of time then, when you decided to make that jump and have a year, what was inspiring you at that time? Was there a specific athlete or? Well,
it's cool. I feel like I grew up in a really cool time of watching mountain bike DVDs, and there was less stuff out there, right? So when stuff was released, like a New World Disorder video, they were the cream of the crop for me. New World Disorder was unreal. You would watch it relentlessly over and over again, and the same section. So when I got home from school, I always watched Andrea Lecondighi's section from New World Disorder 8.
Oh wow! Where just crashing his brains out.
Yeah, he seems to crash more things than he lands.
Yeah.
Do you know how now videos are you only see the best bits?
Yeah.
I used to be so inspired by watching someone eat shit. if you know what I mean, doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, this guy's a complete nutcase, and he's like so stylish. And I watched it over and over and over again. I could still now like probably dictate the layout of that entire movie with all the tricks and then the songs. Like I still listen to the music from New World Disorder.
Yeah.
But it was a cool time because you become addicted to one genre or one rider, and that's like a really good way of being inspired rather than being sort of having this muddle of who's my favorite rider, what's my favorite discipline. So that was cool, and that for me like drove me to build bigger jumps and try new tricks, and it even showed you a new trick. Imagine before DVDs, like you'd have to invent stuff yourself.
I know. Yeah.
Like the first guys pioneering these sports, they're not looking to BMX, freestyle motocross, or like better riders. They're literally like spinning off a lip in a different direction and seeing if they land.
Yeah. And like all those tricks as well are unveiled at, the cream of the crop event, whether it be, Joyride or X Games or whatever. So you'd have to wait, see what people have got. That must be weird as well, man, like being in your position now, because do you still have to keep your cards kind of close to your chest a little bit and not just broadcast everything, or?
Sometimes, yeah. If you're kind of working on like a video or there's a big contest coming up, I mean, you could upload. If I learn a new trick that no one else could do and put it on Instagram now, it doesn't mean that every single person's going to go out and learn it. Like
No.
if I watch a Brandon set like the latest Semenuk video doing a half cab 540 off of a drop, I haven't gone and put a free coaster on my bike so I can roll backwards. Like I'm not interested in that because like. How can you? Yeah, that guy. Wow, Brandon Semenuk's a big inspiration. But like, I watch that in awe rather than think, oh, I could learn that. I just think, you crack on, you stay in your lane, you're better than the best.
Interesting.
But so I think that you can't. Sometimes you keep your cards close to your chest. Maybe actually at the event as well, because there's a lot of the runs actually end up being quite similar at slopestyle comps.
Okay.
Some riders have very different trick bags, so. You pay close attention to what other riders are doing, not because you want to be better than them, just because you want to differentiate yourself from them to make the judges' lives easier.
Got you.
If I do the exact same run as, let's say, I'm not going to say Nikolai Rogatkin because it's unachievable. If I do the same run as another rider, then it's just going to make the judges' life hard, and you may as well just break it up a bit and mix it up. But that's kind of getting tech into it. But I think. There's still value in keeping your cards close to your chest, but then you're always looking for a good Instagram post, aren't you? So it's a hard battle.
You're trying to weigh it up all the time, aren't you? Like you say, you got to be engaging, you got to keep people stoked on your brand, I guess.
Yeah. For sure.
But not
those days though when stuff was unveiled at a comp, they might have been able to do that trick for 11 months right after the last big X Games contest. That's so cool, isn't it?
And having
they're just training in their own little kind of like world, and then you fly to Texas for X Games and belt out that trick you've been able to do for ages.
And just hope no one else does it as well. Like that's
true. Everyone could be able to do it. Yeah.
I remember that happening in freestyle motocross with the 360 backflip when I think Pastrana was going to unveil it at X Games in LA, like LA Coliseum, like huge platform, and he was going to do it, but I think Brian Deegan did it first, a couple of runs before, and he was like, "What the hell?" Like I didn't know anyone else even had that trick. So, how crazy is that?
Yeah, that is crazy. Back. Secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
Rumors.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, like, okay, just moving on then with your career a little bit. When was the aha moment when you thought this is something I can make a living out of? Do you remember a time when that actually really set in?
It wasn't so much. So I lived with my parents until only a year ago. So I was super lucky that you can keep your costs down, and it wasn't so much about the moment where I realised there was longevity in it was when I got sponsored by Red Bull when I was 19 or 18. I can't remember. Okay. I think I was just about to turn 19. So Red Bull are obviously such a prestigious sponsor in this industry, and it's not that you can make a living from riding for Red Bull. It's more that I saw that as a recognizable factor that that someone in this world sees me as one of the best. So maybe I am or whatever. I still don't believe it in any respect, but there's that was like so much added value for me. It's like, wow, someone appreciates what I can do on a bike, and hopefully that will filter to more sponsors wanting to work with me. And that's kind of been how it's gone ever since.
Right.
So I think that was like a pretty key moment riding for Red Bull. And then, yeah, but still back then it was definitely for me about contest results. And if I could rank up against the riders that I thought were the best in the world, then there's like kind of just evidence there, isn't it? Just it's clear on paper that things were going well. So weird one.
I had that written down as something I actually wanted to talk to you about, was becoming a Red Bull athlete, because like you said, it's so prestigious, and it's one of those things that if you're around action sports, you know, that hat like means it, doesn't it though? It's weird because it just means he's fucking really good at something, you know. Not only is he really good, he's one of the, you know, he's one of the best. And the helmet, and you know, in some respects, it's the same with other energy drink brands as they've come into the sport, and you know, they're always on the best athletes' helmets or whatever it might be. But how did that actually happen with Red Bull? Do you remember, like, how does that conversation even come around?
Right, so I remember meeting a guy called Rich King, who was the Red Bull athlete manager in the UK years ago. It was actually in that gap year when I was only just sort of dabbling in it.
Right.
And he was saying things like, "Hi Matt, have you considered like sacking off university and being a pro rider?" And like, this was all positive talk. And I was like, "What's this guy on about? Like, what does he mean? Don't go to university? That's the only option I have." And like, he was saying like, "Oh, you should maybe like ride your bike a bit more and go to some more events because you're really good. And we'd obviously, if things keep going well, we'd look to work with you." And then I remember like feeling a bit of kind of, not pressure, but a bit kind of like, wow, this is the real deal. Like, this guy works with Danny McCaskill and G Atherton. He sponsors those guys.
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing having a sit-down breakfast with me next to Woburn? And then the trail went cold a bit, and I didn't really hear anything. And I just carried on riding and had a really good year. I got a podium at 26 Tricks, which is it used to be like a big dirt jump event in Austria. And then I got invited to Goodwood Festival of Speed. Sorry, there's so many event names in here, but that's just one of the biggest motorsport festivals in the world, which sounds bizarre, but Red Bull did a show there on some jumps, so we do demos, tricks for a crowd, and they love it.
Cool.
And I was like, I turned up, and there was riders like Corey Bowen there, Chris Doyle, Mike Hucker-Clark from BMX, and then like, absolute legends. Kai Forte, like there was all the BMX legends were there, and then me, I was the only mountain biker, and I felt so out of my comfort zone. I was like, almost felt like they'd stitched me up, invited me there, because I was not even close to being on that caliber. Do you know what I mean? And then on the final day, Anthony Napolitan, who was a Red Bull athlete at the time, took my helmet off me right after a show, just this black helmet I had, and started smashing it on a rock, and literally smashed it to bits. And I hadn't really talked to him that week, and I just remember like almost crying, thinking that is the nastiest human I've ever met in my life. He's just taken my helmet off me, smashed it to bits, so I can't do the final show with all these legends.
What?
I was like, what an arsehole. And then turned around, and Dougie Lampkin, 12 times trials legend, world champion, plonked a Red Bull helmet on my head. So it was like a full surprise. And the reason I'd been invited to that event was for that.
Wow.
So it was sick. So I went from like being obviously a bit emotional about this what I thought was the whole
not having a helmet,
horrible man smashing my helmet up, to it being like one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So yeah,
that's insane.
Cool,
you know what? I was that filmed as well, because I vaguely remember seeing that.
Yeah, it was.
But
yeah,
I couldn't.
I didn't know anything. I
really
didn't know anything. Like, as far as I'm quite a naive person, but as far as I'm concerned, like I was just there to ride these jumps and like look bad next to these absolute BMX legends. But yeah, it was so cool. That's such a cool way of doing it. No conversation, nothing for 12 months. Just bang, stick it on your head. There you go, mate.
Wow.
Luckily, I hadn't signed for Monster.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, what if you were like, yeah, but don't we need to talk contracts first? Like, hang on, give me my old helmet back.
No, I don't know.
I guess the offer must be pretty good. Maybe we should start doing that as a company. We'll just start putting helmets and stuff on people. Be like, yeah, you ride for us now. And people will be like, well, I don't want to. Well, tough. We've put a helmet on your head.
With hidden microphones in, and they just end up on the podcast without knowing.
Yeah. We just announce it.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
cool. But it's like what you were saying before about that having that kind of Red Bull branding on your hat and on your helmet.
Mm.
Like I get a little bit numb to it because I'm lucky to be friends with all like most of the Red Bull athletes in mountain biking.
Yeah.
So that I obviously still idolize them and think they're so good at what they do. But you do get a bit numb to that level of prestige and what it must look like from the outside world until I go to like something completely different, like a ski resort in the winter,
Okay.
and then I see a Red Bull helmet bomb past on a snowboard, and I think like, wow, that guy must be like the best in the world at snowboarding, and I get so excited about it, and then it kind of like brings it home as to what it must be like, what actually it must look like from the outside, and it is like if I still feel that when I see a wakeboarder at a wakeboard cable with a Red Bull helmet on. It's pretty damn cool actually to be a part of that. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no doubt, man. And like you say, you probably do get a little bit numb to it, but again, from the outside looking in, you almost aspire to have that hat or whatever it might be. It's just, it's cool how they've created that though, isn't it? Red Bull, like it's
Definitely.
We've never had it before in the sport, I don't think, where people have aspired to represent a brand like that.
Yeah, so true. It's just it carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? But it's definitely achievable. I'm just a kid from the woods jumping off of tree stumps. Really, I didn't have anything that. I didn't have anything before I got sponsored by Red Bull that like I was obviously lucky to have the local woods to ride in, but I am just a guy who likes to build jumps, so I don't know how I got here.
It's cool though, man, because they obviously seen something in you, and you know, even in those early days, you say you were 19 when you signed for Red Bull.
I think so was maybe 18, yeah.
Okay.
This is my 6th year.
Is it? Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah.
Time flies. But yeah, it's weird, man, because I do remember seeing that video, but I couldn't find it on YouTube because I was like, I'm sure that was Matt Jones, but I couldn't find it. But if I find it, I'll post it on Facebook and stuff.
I want to see that, definitely.
Yeah, I do remember it happening though, and been like, wow, imagine being that guy. Like, he's just signed for Red Bull right there. It's crazy. So I wonder who filmed it. I don't know, man. It's weird that I recall seeing it, but I can't think where or how or whatever.
That's the internet, isn't it? It's big.
It is. It's a big wide world out there. So signing for Red Bull, what would you say is the one thing that's really done for your career? Like, is there a lot of things you can, like, assets and stuff you can pull from, like, help wise, or?
It's the perks. It's the things like. Do you know what? Actually, the day after I got my Red Bull helmet at Goodwood, I did do the final show because I had a new helmet, good to go. I was like seriously excited.
Wow.
And last show of the day, last run, last jump, I did a flip whip, which I'd been doing in every show. And I probably had a bit of a late night the night before because I was a bit overwhelmed. But I crashed and broke my wrist.
Oh.
The day after getting sponsored by Red Bull. And I told myself it was fine. I remember going and buying an ice cream to like stick it on my wrist. Because I was like, a bit of ice will fix this. And I went home and was just telling myself, it'll be fine. I mean, the drive home, changing gear was awful. Like I was almost being sick with every gear change. But I was still like, I'm probably fine. I mean, I just couldn't bear to tell myself that I would hurt myself and to tell the athlete manager, like, all right, dude, you sponsored me yesterday for a year. And I'd shattered my scaphoid and 2 other bones in my wrist and done ligament damage. So it was a really bad break. So that week, Red Bull got me up to see a specialist up in Manchester and was straight into theatre to have the best surgery. And that's still probably the best, one of the best things that's available. I'd have never had that level of care on my own. And that's huge because ultimately it got me back on the bike quicker and allowed me to fulfill what I wanted to achieve with that brand and me as a rider quicker. But then that was a bit morbid, but then there's all the cool things like going in helicopters and going to jet skiing and hanging out with the best riders in the world and tickets to nitrous. I don't know. It's unreal, honestly. They do it properly. I'm so lucky. Yeah.
It's funny because that's pretty much what Danny Maxgill said when he was on the podcast. We were chatting and he was actually in Manchester because he just had his knee surgery. I know he's just had another one yesterday or the day before, but he'd just had the first one. And he said one of the biggest perks is that I'm here in Manchester. I've got access to, the best gym, one of the best gyms in Europe probably or the world. this amazing level of care, and that's one of the biggest things that Red Bull have done, like is just take care of him as an athlete. So that's cool. That's cool that you've had the same experience as well, isn't it? Shout out Red Bull.
Yeah, big time. But they do beast you.
Right.
It's not, you don't go up there and get your nails done. Like when they think you're ready to start doing fitness stuff again, you are getting destroyed in the gym, and I avoid the gym at all costs. So,
really?
Yeah. I remember getting put in this tiny little swimming pool where there's jets, so you have to fight against the current. And he kept like ramping it up so much. This was to build my wrist up, like just doing front crawl flat out, that I was pinned against the back wall of the swimming pool because I couldn't swim fast enough. I felt like I was going to drown. But yeah, got me back on the bike quicker. Shout out Red Bull for the waterboarding.
Yeah, waterboarding. I think one of the things obviously you've done with Red Bull, which has been super cool, is frames of mind.
Yeah.
So where do we start with this? Because that, for me, like, what was it? Last year? Yeah, last year, wasn't it? 2017, I think. That film came out. Yeah. So for me...
November 2017. Yes,
cool.
A year ago.
So you're already on, like, my radar, you know, as an athlete. Like, love watching you riding, followed you on social media, all that sort of stuff. But after that, you were, like, on my radar properly. Do you know what I mean? I'm like...
Yeah.
Like, that film, dude, like, that edit is just insanity. It's so goddamn good. And I've watched it, you know, obviously since I knew you were coming on podcast. I watched it a bunch more times over the last sort of couple of days, and I still am blown away by 99.9% of it.
Oh wow, that means a lot.
No, it's crazy, dude. But I read as well in an early interview how you were saying that moving forward you want to do like more film projects and you want to sort of like inspire people with making cool edits and stuff. And then like it feels like that came out, and dude. If anything, and don't take this the wrong way, I still think it's underrated. If that makes sense. Because it should have like 40 million downloads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. For me, that's just a space where I can show like how I like to be creative on a bike, and if it gets 10 views or 10 million views, I'm stoked with how it went. Right. And what I achieved. It did really well on their like redbull.com website. That's where they put it out to start with.
Got you.
But now like Frames of Mind on YouTube's where to watch it now. But
yes. There'll be a link in the show description too for anyone who crazily hasn't seen it. So I'll put a link in the show description. So tell me about the project though, dude. Like how did it come around? Like what was the concept? All that sort of stuff.
It was basically I'm a slopestyle athlete, so I ride a set course, the same course as everyone else, and there's no variation or deviation of that course, and it works really well. It makes a really judgeable, fair competition to show the best tricks of any rider in the world. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's slopestyle in a nutshell. But I've always had so much fun, like riding jumps in a weird way, like jumping a lap. Like I've always enjoyed being creative on a bike more than riding a set course in the way it's supposed to be ridden. So I said to Red Bull, like, can we talk about a video project where I get to build a course? And that's where it started. Okay. It was sort of like, yeah, sure, but what's it going to be? Is it going to be a set of dirt jumps? Is it going to be? I said, let's just be really creative and build whatever allows me to do the tricks that are in my head. So I had a few ideas in my head, which were like where I slide on my ass across that platform and jump and land on my feet on the log. And then they were definitely key parts that had to be in that build, because there's only one way of doing that trick. Do you know what I mean? You have to build a setup for it. It didn't exist anywhere else. And then the ball was rolling, and then we started adding in like corkscrews, loop-the-loops, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. We found a location, and then day one, the diggers came in, and it all started. So ultimately, I've got some trick ideas and some feature ideas, and Red Bull said, okay, we'll facilitate that. We believe in you that you'll pull it off. Let's get going. And it was 4 months start to finish.
Really?
Building the course, filming, riding, to the last day of filming took 4 months for a 4-minute video, which is insane. A month for every minute of footage. And there was like, I don't know, it was just my first time where I was actually grafted. Like if I had an idea, there wasn't a plan B, because we built a feature for a trick and I have to find a way of making it work.
Yeah.
When I usually go and ride my bike at my compound, at Woburn, anywhere, if I want to do a 720 no-hander, and after 2 attempts it feels a bit rough, or it's not, I'm not going to slave away at a trick that feels wrong that day. Whereas this was like a completely different dynamic. This was, all right, you've got that idea in your head, Matt. We've built you the setup. No, actually not. There wasn't any pressure. That was, I've come up with this
put pressure
idea.
on your own, on yourself.
Yeah, and if I don't do it, that feature's not even going to appear in the video because it's built for one thing. So it was like weeks of thinking and making tweaks, and most of the things I did in the video, the day because I was actually really rushed for time when I shattered my wrist the second time at Crankworks Road to Rio last year. Was it last year? Yeah, the year we shot that. I missed all the window of practicing, so I was just about fit and back on the bike when the film crew were booked in. So every line, every feature, every trick I was doing for the first time when all the cameras were there.
What?
Yeah. So that video where I do the backflip and land stood on the log.
Yeah.
That part of it. The first day even dropping in and really riding that was the day where the camera crew were there. And we chose to shoot that first. So I'd never even jumped onto the log. And
No way.
We changed the height of the log, the height of the roll-in, the height of the kicker, the gap from the kicker to the log, the landing, flat out. It was like dawn till dusk. And just as the sun was going down, like behind the hill, I landed it. So it was 9 hours of just relentless trying that thing. Because we had a timetable. So if that didn't get shot that day, it might have even like had to be canned because the next day was jumping onto a tree, and then so it was like full on, but so cool to like be at the head of a spear of something where if my idea is like I can't just say put my hands up and say I can't do it because it's my idea. I got to make it work. It was cool. Yeah, really cool.
So it's pretty much all of those features came out of your brain as well.
Yeah, completely.
Wow,
yeah.
Dude.
Designed the whole thing, and Kai Forte and his boys kind of did the build with me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've seen some of the stuff Kai's built. My friend Jamie Squibb, who's a freestyle guy from down south. I know Kai rides down there, and I went to Jamie's house some time ago and seen some of the stuff he's got in his woods. Holy shit! Yeah. Kai can build some wild stuff.
Yeah. And he's building stuff for a freestyle motocross rider.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know where to start building something for a motocross rider.
Yeah. Man, so what was the hardest trick out of that whole section?
I'd always say the flip onto the log, but it worked so well in my head that I knew I just had to like tweak all the angles to make it right. The one that I had most doubt in was the bum slide where I slid across a platform.
Yep.
I just kept flying off the other side.
Really?
Without not even getting stood up at all. Yeah, it was tough. That was the one where I thought this isn't going to end up in the video.
Right.
And then it just... Well, do you know what it was? So the deck of that platform was plywood. And to allow me to slide all the way off it, we had to wet it.
Okay.
So I'd wet it and it'd be perfect. And then it would be so slippery that I'd fly off the other end. And in doing so, my jeans and my t-shirt would soak up a lot of the water. And then the next time I went at the same speed, it would obviously be more grippy.
Right.
So I wouldn't even make it to the end. So finding that balance of speed and slippiness and getting the right lubrication, lubing her up, was impossible. And actually, I filmed that whole video in a long sleeve white t-shirt.
Yep.
Which,
how many shirts you go through then?
So many, and they were getting shipped over from New Zealand from iLab at the time. And that trick, the bum slide, I'm in full contact with a dirty plywood. So every single attempt, I wrecked a t-shirt. And
amazing.
It was literally at the point that my girlfriend was driving up to where we were filming to collect a bag of these white t-shirts to then come home and put on like an insane wash to keep me going.
Dude, that's such a good insight though, because that's something that you would literally never know.
Yeah, because like I did not land much of that stuff first go, and the time I landed the bum slide was on my final t-shirt of the day, and I kept it quiet. I didn't tell all the guys, like, guys, this is my last attempt. I just thought, if this one doesn't work, we're actually going to have to stop shooting for the day. Not because I'm hurt, not because the jumps don't work, but because I don't have any.
Run out of washing powder.
Which is so stupid. But yeah, it worked on the fight. It's like that last minute pressure. Like stuff always works, I think, when you're up against it. And yeah, final t-shirt and slid across it and landed good. So
mad
funny.
respect, dude. That's so good.
big shout out to my girlfriend and the home washing machine for taking all that.
The actual way it's filmed as well, it's cut media, is it?
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before. Whose idea was that? With all the silhouettes, and would you say it's silhouette? I don't know what that's called.
They're kind of like traces of myself.
That's it. Yeah, trace is probably a better word. Nice one.
That was Red Bull spotted that as someone else did it in like a little 5-second clip. And we all said, and they said to Cut Media, could we do this for a whole mountain bike video? And this is a good story actually, because that it's called rotoscoping, and on the surface it looks like just you kind of like laid a picture of me over a video of me, right?
Yep.
It's all moving.
Yeah.
But what we didn't realize at the time was how difficult that is to consider whilst you're filming, because you have to find an angle for a shot and like plan ahead. So
Okay.
A guy called Gav from a dark cloakroom in Glasgow from that Cut Media team
Right.
had to frame by frame cut round me. Like imagine on Photoshop zooming in and cutting round a person. Well, 25 frames a second, he has to cut round my whole body, my shoelaces, every single spoke, and
Gavin.
lay that over another video. And he worked through the night. The amount of coffee and Red Bull that guy drank to get that turned around was insane, because so every second of footage he has to cut round like 1,400 spokes, because it's all moving, right? You can't leave them up. You have to cut round all of that for every second of footage. And he must have the strongest finger, the mouse finger in the world. What a beast. But that's a bit of like the tech behind the scenes stuff, but that's like all part of like what goes into it. Isn't just the build, isn't just the riding, the filming, it's also the post-production to achieve that was relentless. And luckily I wasn't involved with that in any capacity. I'm mad.
Dude, it's such a good insight though. That's crazy. That is crazy. Good, well done, Gavin.
I know, what a boy.
Oh, what a beast. He bet he's sick of the sight of you.
We'd ring him up whilst filming. We're like, what are you up to? He's like, I'm currently cutting around your bum, or something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm cutting around your lips.
Wow, brilliant, dude. Really brilliant. I guess that as well moves on quite nicely to your own video projects and starting the vlog.
Yeah, the vlog.
Yeah, the vlog, dude. What interesting subject vlogging is. I love your channel, if I'm honest. Like,
oh, cheers, dude.
Yeah, I've watched videos for quite a while now. I guess some of the first questions I do have for you, is, I mean, the big one is, why did you decide to start vlogging? Open-ended question again, mate. Right. I'm so sorry.
No, it's a good question, and it's something I don't really have. I think about what my plan is now, not why did I start. So it's a good one to be asked. The kind of the sport I do, you get a few key weekends of the year to show yourself and show what you've been doing, right? Crankworks, contests, or a big project. But we've got 52 weeks in a year. So there's so much opportunity to show the world what you're up to on a day-to-day basis, and that gets lost. Yep. Everyone sees you at your best or at your worst, but not just what you're up to. So for me, YouTube and vlogging is like a bit of a different approach. Instagram's where you put your best stuff, or a big Red Bull video projects where you show your new tricks. But YouTube is like, this is who I am, what I do, this is why my bike is like it is. And the leveling of engagement I've found and how intrigued people are about that has been insane. It's actually like quite overwhelming how much people care. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's why I've carried on with it, and I've been quite hooked on it, is because people do want more, and they don't want like world's first trick. So I mean, if I do a YouTube video with that, then I'll do it. But I think just showing people what makes me Matt Jones, or what goes into my life, is quite valuable actually. That's if someone wants to subscribe to you or follow you, or even like be inspired by something, they deserve to see the full package, don't they? So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure. I think it's super interesting how vlogs are sort of become more prominent, especially in our sports, like in action sports. A lot of athletes are starting them and showing, like you say, more of behind the scenes of what actually goes into what they do. And again, like you said, it keeps that engagement level up. Surely you have to think of yourself as a brand, and you're keeping relevant as well for sponsors, which is interesting. And
yeah, I think it's also like the format of it, the length, like often over 10 minutes. And if people are willing to watch you for that long, then they care, and they're also going to learn a lot. Like
Yes.
a 60-second Instagram video or an Instagram post shows someone like the product of that day, but not actually that day. And I think, like, going back to your podcast, it says wonders about this as like a piece of content, or like something someone can listen to, because for them to listen to it for quite a long time, for like an hour, they really care, and they're going to learn so much. So like, it shows the value of these like platforms, and as probably more valuable than Instagram and stuff, because people really learn about you and endure, like, they buy into it, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Like they sacrifice 10 minutes of their time to watch you. It's quite crazy.
It is crazy, and it's still, you know, again, sort of relating it to this thing, it still blows me away that if this podcast goes out, let's say it goes out tomorrow at 6 a.m, by 11, I've already had messages. Oh, I listened, it's amazing. And you're like,
sick, isn't it? Yeah.
You've literally listened to it straight away. Like, it's insane. It still blows me away. But people want, like you said, they want more. They want to know more about people. They don't want to just, you know, see you on social media and follow you and just see like bangers or highlights of your life. They want to know what the hell's going on behind the scenes. They want to know how you got to where you are. And I think podcasting, vlogging, the whole thing's just growing, and you can see that, like, TV, radio, it's dying, dude. Like, it is dying. It's like, especially radio.
For
like,
sure.
Who the fuck listens to radio in the van anymore? Like, not many people, right? Like, not many people. You're always going to choose your own music. You're always going to want to, like, for me, I'm in the van a lot, so I'd rather learn something. Like, I'd rather hear an interesting story from somebody. I'd rather, you know, be motivated. And I ain't going to get motivated by a song by Cardi B or whoever. You know?
Mate, yeah. Nothing against your music taste, but I couldn't agree more with that.
So how do you balance, though, all of the time it takes to make this stuff?
I'm lucky now I'm in the off season, so I'm not traveling quite so much. So it's been a good time to, like, turn it on a bit and do more. I've been doing about 3 videos a week.
I was going to say, they're regular too, so 3 a week's, a lot of...
Yeah, it's a day's filming and an evening or another day's editing. So that's kind of like a whole week, really. The people who do daily uploads, like Harry Main, like, that's graft.
Yeah,
How can you not
hectic.
have a day off?
I know. But do you think that it will make you do stuff in your life that maybe you wouldn't do? Have you found that?
What, in terms of experiences, or just
like, you know, let's say you've got almost a blank calendar for your week. Are you like, right, I need to go do something, though, because I need to make some cool content? Because the only reason I asked that is I started doing one, like, I've done 2 ever, and they're awful. But it made me think, like, oh, I should go riding here, and then I can make a vlog, and maybe it'll just take you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
For
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you tell yourself, I'm going to do 3 videos this week, like, that's being lazy goes out the window. And so, I do find myself traveling further afield to diversify what I'm doing and keep it a bit different. So I'll go to Wales more, or when I go to a contest, I'll walk up the hill and film the course without my bike. Just I wouldn't have done that normally. You end up doing a bit more and going the extra mile, and that's really cool. And if people get to enjoy that, then that's good. If they don't like it, then there's other channels out there.
It's weird though. It does make you do that. It definitely made me think, and it's the same again with the podcast. It's like I've committed, hopefully, to do at least 2 a month. There's obviously quite a bit of work goes into the back end of that, but it makes you go, no, rather than sitting and watching some bullshit TV program, like, I've got research to do, or I've got to reach out to some people, I've got to send some emails away from my normal, like, day-to-day job. And it just makes you do it because you owe it to people. And like you say, especially when you start seeing that engagement come through, if you're putting it out to the world and nobody gave a shit, you probably wouldn't bother, right? You'd be like, oh, this doesn't really matter this week. No one's going to notice that I haven't done another one. But once you start seeing that engagement come through and people are like, no, I want this, it sort of drives you to keep doing it.
I know, for sure. And for me, it's not about the views, really. It's about, like, I really enjoy reading the comments.
Cool,
Because, like, let's say 10,000 views it's quite hard to get your head around. That's like a football stadium full of people watching you on a screen. But if someone wants to comment and say something positive or negative, like they've actually stopped for a moment to buy into it a bit more, and they have an opinion, and they're like, whether that's good or bad, there's some element of inspiration there for them to even want to comment. So like that, the comments is an individual insight into people being stoked, whereas the views is like a bit hard to get your head around.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
in fact, I was thinking about that.
If a video got one view,
yeah,
and they commented saying nice video or this was really cool, that's like unreal to be able to say that someone actually enjoyed something you did, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Again, like, you know, on a smaller scale, I'm in the same sort of boat, because you get people comment and they engage with you and they say they enjoyed something or they learned something from something, and it's just cool. But it's hard to wrap your head around, like you say, those figures. Like, I'll look at these numbers and be like, it's hard to conceptualize what that is. Like you say, you sort of, I mean, one of your videos has got over 1 million views.
Yeah.
If you got 1 million people together, like,
true,
it'd trip you out. You'd be like, what?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, 1 million people.
And the time. If you times 1 million people by, like, I think my channel, let's have a look. So in the last month, my YouTube channel's had 4 million watch minutes.
Holy smokes.
So what's that? Sorry guys, I like maths, I like quantifying.
Don't get into it, man, because I'm awful
4 million minutes, that's 67,000 hours, 2,700 days, 7.6 years. So in the last month, the channel's been watched for 7.5 years. That's insane.
That is nuts.
If you quantify stuff in a different way, like, you realise, like, wow, people are sick, aren't they? They just love watching stuff.
That is a trip.
Yeah.
That is a trip. God, it's weird, man, when you put it like that. Yeah, I need to do that for myself just to see where we're at. But wow,
yeah, people will watch your podcast, listen to your podcast for decades per podcast, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but not only that, I think as well with what you're doing, like, you're documenting your life and you're making all these cool memories that you're gonna, you know, it's not going anywhere unless randomly your channel gets deleted.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's there forever for you to look back on, and that's super cool as well.
That's cool.
How weird is that? It's gonna be there
Stuff's
forever.
Working. I know. Yeah,
Weird.
it's just I like kind of spreading myself between things like contests, YouTube, projects. It's so cool to be like, have like irons in a few different fires, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Where do the ideas come from then, as well, for the vlog? Because you've done some stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'd never have thought of that ever.
I don't know. I'm lucky. I've got a filmer now who I kind of work with, and I'm such good friends with, called Ben Grist.
Okay.
And he's a BMXer, but it's good to have someone while you're out shooting just to fight, like, ideas bounce back and forth for the next video or the one after that. So that makes life a bit easier, and he helps me with the editing as well. So it's allowing me now to put more time back into riding my compound and kind of get ready for next year, but still put videos out for people who want to see them. So
yeah,
I've got a good balance at the minute.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Cool. Have you got a lot more comfortable with it as well over the sort of like year of been, because you are extremely exposed as a YouTuber, because with this it's just a voice, you know, there's no video behind the podcast or anything, but
True.
With you it's, you know, 1 million, well, more than 1 million people have seen one video. Chances are you're going to start getting recognised more. Like, do you get recognised in the street, for example, from YouTube? Or
yeah, to be honest, more so if anyone bumps into me in the street, service station, wherever, it's generally always now because of YouTube. And that's, I think that's because you're talking like face to face to a camera, but on the other side of that camera is all those people. So if I went to the pub and had a conversation with someone for 10 minutes, I'd remember them for sure.
Yeah.
So if you've had a conversation on YouTube with them for 10 minutes, like, it's not that surprising that they recognise you and remember you.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas, like, if I scroll through Instagram, there's no way I'll remember the faces I see or the people who are doing cool biking videos. But if they talk to me for 10 minutes, whether it's through a laptop screen or at the pub, it's going to have a lasting impact. So it's quite a cool little space to be in, the old YouTube and podcasts and that stuff. It definitely adds a bit of value.
So where do you see your own channel going and all that sort of stuff? I know, again, open-ended question, but is there like an end goal? Is it just a case of just continue doing what you're doing and building the platform, or
just carry just not really grow it, just keep doing the same. Not the right. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here and commit to 3 videos a week forever. Nor am I saying I'm quitting, but I just want to keep showing people what I do on a day-to-day basis. And if some of the ideas are a bit gimmicky, then so be it. And if it's like some of them are just talking about my bike setup, then that's a win for me as well, because someone out there hopefully will find it interesting. So I'll keep doing it all of next year, 100%.
Yeah. Do you think that whole platform as well of vlogs and video content is just going to continue growing? Again, you look at TV, for example. To me, it seems to be dying. Like, it's really rare that someone now just sits and watches terrestrial TV. You watch what you want to watch.
It's the truth.
It is the truth, yeah, for sure. And it's weird, though, that we lived in a time at one point where you had to watch whatever the corporation said you had to watch on the TV. Like, how trippy is that? There was 4 channels, and you had to watch that.
Yeah.
Whereas now you do what you want.
I used to get home from school and know that Simpsons started at 6.
Exactly. Channel 4, Simpsons, 6 o'clock.
I'd have it ready to go.
Yes.
Which is almost quite cool. It's like, at least I had a plan. But no, then nowadays it's pretty freestyle. If I go on YouTube and I want to watch like the engine noise that a Ferrari FF makes and listen to that with my headphones on, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
I do like listening to car exhaust videos, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, how weird's that? I just like listening to revving.
You know what, though? I watched Ken Block's new video yesterday, the new Gymkhana, and I was in the same sort of boat. I listened to it through my headphones because I was like, this is just cool.
Yeah, you have to wear headphones for stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Engine noise and motocross videos and stuff. It's a different vibe.
I agree. And I think it's cool as well, just to relate back again, to like, you grew up in that sort of time where you didn't have social media. And that's, again, it's a bit of a trip to think about it. I mean, you've got a big social media platform. Do you feel like, does that still trip you out a little bit that you've got, I don't know how many followers you've got on Instagram now. It's over 100,000 though, for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, 140,000.
Wow.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah. It doesn't trip me out. I don't know.
Do you think it's positive or
weird.
negative?
It's weird. Positive, 100%.
Yeah.
Because if people lose interest or don't care, then they'll unfollow you, and that's that. So you're only, I don't know. It's cool. I don't think there's any. I don't see many negatives to social media for me, other than it's a bit. I spend probably a bit too long on there. That's it.
Really?
I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. Definitely.
Definitely, if it's used correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Although, I kind of just follow mountain bikers. Really, I'm sure if you like dig deep to like other industries and stuff that are a bit more political, it might be quite gnarly. But the mountain biking world is so welcoming and nice. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
People are so kind about, like, even if you do badly at a contest or you get injured, people just still want to support you and like see you back on your bike. It's actually insane that people are that nice.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good way of looking at it, for sure. It's definitely not a negative environment. And again, like seeing what, this thing, everyone's been so nice. There's literally hardly been a bad, like, there's obviously going to be a few comments. You're always going to get something, but there's, overwhelming amount of positivity around it and people enjoying listening or whatever it might be. So,
but how easy is it to watch something you want to watch and then just click the X and move on? Like, that's so easy, but to stop at the end and write a comment is quite cool. It's pretty valuable, isn't it?
Yeah,
Someone
it is.
to write something nice.
Yeah.
They could have just watched the next video, but positive comments, like, are so sick.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
It's actually someone's time.
Yeah. Just to switch gears a little bit, I want to talk to you about your career so far. And, being a diamond FMB athlete, which is crazy, and the only UK diamond FMB athlete as well, I believe. Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the journey towards, getting your first, joyride?
Yeah. So, Whistler Joyride's the big one, isn't it? The belter.
It is.
Crankworks. And that was my first ever diamond event, the Crankworks event. I got a wild card at Colorado Freeride Festival, which was a contest in July. What year would that have been? 2015?
16.
Yeah,
was it? Yeah, 2016, because you rode Joyride 16. Wow.
Right, yeah, let's have a think. What year was it? Yeah, I'm looking at the check right now. Is there a date
I've
on
got it as 16.
Okay. Sick.
But it's
Right.
your career. Like
28th to the 31st of July, it says on the check.
Okay.
Right, so that was a gold event, and there was a wild card up for grabs to get into Whistler, which was the following month. And I won it, which was an absolute miracle. I beat like Brett Reeder,
Dude, you
Nikolai
beat
Brackett.
everybody.
Yeah, which is weird. Like they for sure messed up, and I just got lucky. But
Don't be daft.
I got a wild card, and then got an email from Crankworks was like, "Hi Matt, congratulations, you're coming to Whistler next month," and they're like making it all sound nice and covered in glitter. But I knew it was like going to be an insane week of riding the biggest course, having to do even crazier stuff. But it was so cool. I just flew there, got there, looked at this course, which was unimaginably big and gnarly on a hardtail. And I'd like, there was 14 features in a row that year.
Wow.
So I had a gyro made for my bike so I could do enough like bar spins and tail whips going down the course. But I'd done such a bad job with it, the brake hardly worked. So if I had to stop mid-course, I was like riding off the end of kickers and landing in the middle of jumps. It was so not like gnarly. Just a classic like naivety of being unprepared for a big event like that.
Okay.
But it was sick. And you get so much practice at Crankworks, basically a whole week of practice. And then typically the contest day was so windy. Like, do you know that you get the big Red Bull arches, the inflatable arches? That was like blown flat on the ground behind me. Like, when you drop in, and it's like, it's just so typical that finals day is so windy. And I dropped in, did the biggest double flips I've still ever done.
Yep.
Like on a huge kicker, and then tried a 720 on a right hip further down the course, so like an over-rotated one, which I'd done in practice perfect, but I was just it was all like stressed out, and there was 50,000 people in the crowd. I carved way too hard off the lip, basically did a 900, which I was stoked with, but not
didn't claim it though.
Knocked myself clean out, and then again it was like I came round quite quick, and my girlfriend and some of my friends were there, and I was like, "Oh man, was it the 720?" And they were like, "Yeah." So I started pushing up the hill to go again, and I was pretty motivated to drop in again. As far as I was concerned, I'd just hit my head. I hadn't been knocked out, and I remember getting to the top, like weaving through all the crowd, turning around and looking at the course to plan my run, and I didn't recognise the course.
Oh shit! Wow.
I was looking at the whale tail, which is the big feature you jump in and out of, and I couldn't understand in my head which way you ride it, from which direction. So I'd been there all week, and I turned around and I was like, I can't remember the course. It was, and then I knew for sure I could ride, but that's scary. I mean, we don't want to talk for too long about concussions, but that's been like pure evidence of what a muddle you can get yourself into from hitting your head. And I still believed I had to ride again. So, but yeah.
So who did you talk? Did you know you had enough like wherewith about you to go, I'm not going to drop in because I know I'm screwed up. Yeah, that's good.
And now at Crankworks, if you hit your head, they'll straight away do a concussion test, and if you fail, awesome. You're not allowed to ride. Point blank.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, that's good. Just to unpack this a little bit though. So you get that wildcard entry, go to Crankworks. You've probably been to Crankworks before and watched.
Yes,
you've been there before, but you're there. You get quite a lot of practice. And one thing actually I noticed, this is slightly off topic a little bit, but when I was at Leger Crankworks, you, Regatkin, maybe Nyquist, a few others, rode almost every single practice session, from what I remember. But a few other riders, like Reeder in particular, I barely saw the guy. It was like he'd ride like a few runs, banger after banger after banger, and then just nip it in the bud, and you wouldn't see him again all day.
I know, it's so strange, isn't it? There's like there's 14 of us pretty much riders, or 16, something like that. But there's never 16 all together at the same time until finals day. So the finals always feels busy. It's like, whoa, look how many riders are here. It's like, oh, hello, mate. I haven't seen you for a couple of days, sort of thing, honestly.
That's cool.
But I don't enjoy practice very much. I find it really difficult to do my tricks in practice. So, for example, in Whistler, how many jumps were there this year? 9. I think there were 9 jumps, and I only did 3 of my tricks in practice. So 6 of the tricks I did in finals were the first time in that one. So I suck at practice, to be straight up. Yeah. And then riders like Nikolai Reeder do a lot. But I just enjoy riding the course.
Yeah.
So I spend all week just riding the course, learning the speed, doing whips, flips and threes. and that kind of makes me feel better about the comp day. Whereas there's definitely riders that are there to do a job, and like Reader will come down, drop in, do a cork 7 on the last jump, then a cork 7 bar spin, and then gone for the day. It's like they're ticking boxes.
It was interesting to see that side of it, though. You know, just been there as a spectator and, you know, chatting to a few athletes and stuff. But it was super interesting that, because literally Reader would ride like the first morning, like the morning practice, and you'd see him and like boom, banger, 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 done. But then it was nice as well to see like you guys just hanging out, like getting stoked on each other's riding, just sessioning certain bits of the course.
Having a big joke of it as well.
But surely that's good for the nerves as well when it gets to finals, because you like, I don't know, 100%. You're more confident. Yeah. I don't know.
100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a big show, and it's a lot of practice for 2 runs. You don't even have to do qualifying at Crankworks, so you're practicing all week for 2 runs, like potentially 2 attempts at the same run.
And that's a trip too, isn't it?
Which it's different to how the other comps work, but downhill works like that. They practice all week for 1 run.
Exactly. Dude, I've done a few downhill races in my time, and I could never get my head around it, like ever. So you've done all this practice, you've travelled all this way, and it all comes down to like 4 minutes. It is a trip, and that is a lot of pressure. And same for you guys. I mean, do you think about, like you said, there's 50,000 people there, however many million watching, like there's, you know, that is a lot of pressure, and you've got 60 seconds to throw down. Yeah. But is the pressure almost off when it's game time a little bit? Or?
100%.
Right.
The first time for me the pressure drops is when I'm about to drop in, because you just take your brain out. Just like, well, I'm here. I can't just walk away from this. They're literally talking about me at the bottom, and they're showing a little highlights reel of the year, and then they can't just pan up to the top and you not be there. So I kind of like take my brain out a bit and just go. But Whistler's crazy. There's a helicopter hovering above you, and it's mad.
Yeah.
Good crack though. Good crack.
Oh, for sure.
Getting to the bottom is uncomparable to anything else.
I think one thing I wanted to ask you, so, you know, without dwelling on it too much, obviously with Crankworks, Joyride in 2016, you know, you crashed.
Yeah.
What did that sort of feel like? Because so much effort's gone into it. I mean, you could almost say your life's work has come to that point, and then without trying to put a downer on this, sorry, but like, what does it feel like to then crashed and be like, oh shit?
It sucks a bit, but I always I don't know, I find it easier to get stoked for other people more than myself. Like, if I mess up something, then it's like every cloud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least I'm not hurt, and if I am hurt, then at least I won't be forever. It's just cool. Like, it sounds so cliche, but being there and being in the top 12 in the world is like such an achievement. And I do want to get on the podium. I do want to like definitely be up there at the Crankworks events, but being there is like huge. Like you say, I'm the only British rider that's at Crankworks, so that's a pretty big goal achieved.
It's an achievement in itself. I mean, how many FMB athletes are there? Must be hundreds, and you're definitely in the top 12, like you say.
And then if you don't make it to the end, you've still been on TV trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the feeling I got, so Whistler, I knocked myself out, right? So that's 2 attempts to land a Crankworks run gone. Then the next year, Rotorua, I broke my wrist the day before final, so that's another 2 attempts of landing a Crankworks run gone. Then Leger, then Innsbruck, I crashed and blew my tyre, respectively, at both events.
Okay.
So that's 8. This is last year. That's 8 Crankworks runs, still not got to the end. Then Whistler, last year, I got to the bottom on my first run.
Yep.
So it took me 9 attempts at a Crankworks run to get to the end. So that felt sick.
I bet. I bet. Wow.
Do you know what I mean, though? Yeah. It was a long time coming. Over 12 months of trying. Funny, eh? And then there's people like Nikolai just back-to-back wins, smashing it. But it's still cool to be a part of that. Still get to go and give them a big hug at the end, and like everyone's such good friends in the slopestyle. I
was just going to ask you that actually, because it's not, you know, it's not almost where you're trying to knock each other off or anything like that. There's no animosity. It's just
the other riders. Either you're just if someone asks me what my run's going to be on the finals day, I'll tell them, because like it's too late to like who cares? So you're competing against yourself in just landing the run you've planned, and everyone's doing exactly that. So you're not competing against the other riders. You're just trying to get a good score. And we don't ride for teams either. We all just show up with a backpack and a bike bag at the airport.
Yeah.
So it's like, how could you not be friends? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just all like weirdo bikers that want to do tricks.
Do you have a mechanic
kidnappers.
or anything like that travels with you, or?
No.
Right.
Nothing. Brett Reeder has a mechanic on the course with him, which is cool. So we often pick his brains if we've got problems.
Yeah.
But it's like quite skeleton like travel that you just take the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Even some this year, I didn't even take any spare back wheels.
Really?
I don't know, just roll the dice. Almost sat packing my bike bag. I'm
Halo
like,
wheels, dude.
the wheels right there, and I'm like, nah, it's going to be heavy carrying that round all day. I won't take that. Just take the chance.
That's amazing.
No, yeah, Halo wheels are bomb proof.
There you go. Shout out. But 2018, really good year on paper, really good. Four finishes. Killed it in Leger with a 7th, Innsbruck 6th.
Yeah, and Whistler 8th.
Yeah, it went 6, 7, 8, didn't it?
Yeah, which is I'm stoked with that. None of them are podiums, but they're all my best results to date at Crankworks. And I took it a little bit steady this year because there was just I needed to start completing runs and getting scores on the board, and that all like built up for me to place 9th overall this year in the world. So top 10 in the world overall, fair and square, is rad.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of people who want to do tricks on mountain bikes, and to say I'm in the top 10 is quite insane.
And you're already now guaranteed for next year too.
Yeah, I'll be in Rotorua end of March.
Yeah.
First ever. Well, if I don't break my wrist, I'll actually ride the course. So we'll see how we go.
So looking at like the competition in general, what is it going to take to get one of those podium spots? Do you feel like is it planned out? Like, this is what I need to do. These are the boxes I need to tick.
Yeah, in a way. I think Rotorua will be a good one for me. That's a course I really enjoyed riding before I smashed myself up. I think to get on the podium, you have to not hold back. Every single jump is an opportunity to do the best trick on that jump.
Yeah.
Not carry speed, not keep it like safe. It's like you get 2 runs for a reason, because it might take you 2 attempts to land that banger of a run. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like all or nothing. Like Nikolai, have you noticed how Nikolai will either win or come last?
Yeah, it's just all in.
He'll either explode or win. He's not. There's no settling. And Semenuk, there's no settling for third, is there? It doesn't exist.
No, it's all in.
So that is what it takes to win, because if you're not doing that, someone else is, and they'll probably land that run.
Yeah. And so what's that mind shift like then, a little bit, from being like conservative to all in?
No.
Have you experienced that?
Tricky. No, because
Okay.
I've always been fighting for the points and the inches. It's always been a game of inches. Whereas now I've got a good score on the board, I can throw more into it and potentially risk it all. Which is a nice place to be. That's the side of the fence I want to be on for sure.
Yeah. That's interesting. And progression as well in slopestyle. That's something that's super interesting. As more people I wouldn't say, BMXers maybe have come into it, adding more flips, more variations, all that sort of stuff. How do you keep a handle on that, as an athlete?
It's hard. Watching videos and stuff is oh God, I'm so far off. I'm just making vlogs, and these guys are making world's firsts. But my trick bag isn't as advanced as most of the riders. I'm quite lucky to be there, to be honest. I think it's only because I land things quite smoothly and I've kept it together this year that I've stayed on the tour. So I do need to up my game, and I will. I'm going to learn new tricks this winter, probably get an airbag and stuff to help. But it's going to be a big shift towards really doing your best trick on every jump and having 10 different tricks. You can't repeat stuff really. So I need a bit more variety in there.
Okay.
I don't know. And that's not me being modest. That's the truth. I need to compete, actually compete with those guys, so that when everyone lands their run fair and square, you're still up there, top 3. That's tough. Yeah.
That's interesting. And like I say, it's interesting. You've got it sort of mapped out a little bit. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm going to work on. And no doubt having the compound is massive for you, because you can.
Yeah.
Do you think living in the UK through winter holds you back? Have you got plans to escape and go somewhere where it's warm?
I used to go to Barcelona quite a bit in the winter,
Right.
but the winter's here is good.
Okay.
You can make do. And I was explaining to my friend the other day, like we went riding, we were wearing like 2 hoodies and 2 t-shirts each, which sucks because I like riding in a t-shirt. But actually, we said like, how cool is this? In order to stay warm, we get all this extra padding. Like we ended up crashing so much and saying how good it was having 2 hoodies on. It's like body armor. So yeah, shout out to the UK for being so shit and cold and keeping us safe.
Amazing. So I wanted to also ask you just really quickly about one thing that's like been coming up a bit more on the podcast is like the mental attitude and stuff. And I know we just sort of just briefly touched on, your mental preparation and stuff like that. But have you got any sort of like, I don't know, sort of training stuff or tips that you always have to have in place to be the best athlete you can be?
Day to day, not really.
Right. What's your like training, for example? We just said about this, slopestyle progressing, and I think action sports progressing as well.
Yeah.
In that people now are athletes rather than just, I don't know, I don't want to sound horrible here, but like flicking your brain off and just sending it.
Yeah.
Now
which you still have to do a bit of.
Yes, for sure.
But there's to be a professional athlete now, you have to be calculated, you have to be fit, you have to be able to like get into a mental state where you can perform at your best. So at contests and stuff, I visualize my run quite a bit.
Right.
I do it in my head because I end up not doing 720s or double backflips in practice. I've never to this day done a double backflip in practice.
Okay.
I'll only do it in the
save
run
it for the race, for the run.
If you've got the speed figured out and you believe you can do it, I can't see any benefit of doing it more than you have to.
Yeah.
If you're going to crash it, you may as well crash it in your run because you're going to get hurt. If you're going to land it, you may as well land it in your run because it's when it counts.
Yep.
So I'll visualize double flips in my head. I'll watch a video of me doing a single backflip on that jump, count how many seconds, like literally count in my head and learn the timing. So I know I have to just double it.
Wow.
It's like playing the drums. Like if you're going like slow, you can then you like speed up, double it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that keep me safe, but they're all coming from your brain and mapping stuff out. But the side of things, which is like being confident and believing in yourself, is sometimes pretty tricky, especially when you're watching like Semenuk in practice. Makes you feel pretty lame.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's tough, isn't it? Because you're, I don't know. It's hard because like I was chatting to Jed about this actually because you are one of those guys. You're the top 10 in the world. You're that dude that people now look up to and aspire to be, and that's trippy because we've all been that kid. You were it with Andreu.
100%.
You know, and now you are that dude that everyone's looking up to be. But like you're still like tripping out on Brandon.
Yeah, true.
That's weird.
Yeah, he's a beast. No, I idolise the hell out of Semenuk.
Yeah.
He's like in a different realm of being capable on a bike. Like there's Nikolai with his tricks, but I don't even think Nikolai would be upset if he heard this. We've all seen him ride a downhill bike and like a set of proper trails. He's not proud of that. But then Semenuk's got everything. He ticks all the boxes. I could watch him all day.
Yeah.
He's like, superhuman. So definitely, if you want to, if people look up to me, then I'll say I look up to him. Or
right.
Yeah, definitely. Nyquist as well, just for the sheer fact he's still got kneecap. His knees still work at that age.
He's just still out there, dude, just throwing bar spins. He just loves it.
Accolade on its own.
Oh, amazing.
He's a boy.
He is. And I think he's brought a lot more eyes and attention to slopestyle as well by making that switch over. It's super cool what he did. Super, super, super cool. Okay. Shall we do some listener questions and then we can get you out of here? Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Awesome. All right. I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay. We got quite a few, so we can, expand on some of them if you feel it's necessary. Just give me 1 second. Okay. First one. This is actually pretty good. First one from our Facebook page came from Paddy Baker. And we've sort of spoke about this, but we'll go for it anyway. So he said, not that long ago, when Matt was younger racing four-cross, him and his brother said Steve Taylor of Bike Track was his favourite rider. Now you're his son's favourite rider. At what point did you think I've made it?
That's crazy.
Do you remember Steve Taylor?
Yeah, and I
Dude, he's a friend of mine, eh?
Yeah, from the four-cross days.
Yeah.
Were they the Dialed Bikes crew?
That's right, yeah.
Yes, I've got they always rode blue bikes, didn't they?
That's right, yeah.
Those boys were so cool, so funny. I can't believe they even remember me.
Mate, I remember you. Believe it. I remember you being at four-cross stuff. I remember Thor Kit, like I remember, or like the Ice on team as well on Identity. I remember that.
Yes, yeah. So Steve Taylor's son looks up to me.
Paddy's son. So Paddy and Steve are really good friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
so, you know what it's like in Sheffield. Everyone knows everyone. But Paddy and Steve are good friends.
Cool.
Yeah. So Paddy was on the Dial team as well.
Yeah, I definitely remember Paddy, of course. Well, yeah, I was a juvenile young four-cross racer and watching people not only go fast but do it stylishly on bikes which were amazing. So that mentality of looking up to someone or something has never got old and never gone away. And four-cross is definitely where a lot of that started for me, and where I think a lot of my skills and like even social, like hanging out with people of all different ages from all different backgrounds. Those boys from Sheffield, sometimes I couldn't even understand them.
We've managed to get through this though, haven't we?
I know, yeah, with a bit of sign language. No, I'm joking. No, that's amazing. That's so cool to hear. And that's quite a nice story as well, because there's a lot of connection there.
Yeah, it goes full circle.
Exactly.
Like,
that's crazy. I haven't really got a good answer of when I thought I made it. I still think I'm clawing away at stuff and scraping my way through. But that's nice of him to message in.
That's brilliant. Good stuff. All right. Next one. At RobClark33 on Instagram. Never driving again or never riding again?
I don't know if that's a tailored question because I love cars.
Yeah.
I'm a big petrol head. Although saying that, I could definitely sit in a car park and rev a car, and that doesn't count as driving. So I'd keep riding any day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you're big into your cars, dude. You've got a Merc. It says, is it C63?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's loud. It's good. I like it. I'm really lucky. Cool.
Okay, I'm just trying to look for this. Okay, here we go. This one kind of relates. Instagram at John Aldale. Can you talk us through how to camouflage a Mercedes AMG in a ditch?
What a horrible guy.
So for anyone listening, John is
the global marketing manager for Marion Bikes, my sponsor. He sponsors me. He gives me a hard time 12 months of the year, 365. And this year I drove down to his house. He's sort of like between Swindon and Bristol. And we were going to go and deliver the first ever San Quentin hardtails that arrived in the country to dealers all around the country.
Awesome.
So I left at 5 a.m. Do you know we had that really hot summer?
Oh yeah, I remember it. The only one we've ever had here.
Roads were sticky, dry all summer, and I'd become complacent with how much grip my car had. And I was flying to John's, and it was the first night of rain at the back end of that summer, and came out of a roundabout with traction control off because I was having a play around. Milton Keynes, where I live, has got a lot of roundabouts.
Oh man, roundabout central.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Coming out of roundabouts, back end was coming out, and I just got a bit lazy with one, and I didn't catch the drift with the opposite lock, and my car rocketed down a bank into a load of trees and hedges, full blown a car crash, and I was buried in these hedges and trees. I got out, jelly legs, fell into stinging nettles in shorts and a t-shirt. It was so crap. And spent 2 hours snapping all the branches off around my car just so the roadside recovery could see where I was.
What?
I was so buried. Yeah, it was basically stupidness, and you learn from that. But let's just say I didn't get to John's that day because they had to close the road and crane my car out.
Was there any damage or what?
This is insane. I had one scratch on the bonnet, which I've had repaired, and snapped the wing mirror off. That is it.
Wow.
It was like a miracle.
That is pretty lucky. Respect. Yeah, for sure. How long you had that car for?
Just over a year now.
Okay, sick.
Yeah, at least. Oh, good old John. You couldn't.
Good
I
old
didn't have
John.
anything nice to say then.
I'm going to just quickly give John a shout out as well. So I don't know if you saw, but I've launched a charity on the side of the podcast, and the plan is to raise enough money to buy bikes for this disabled. Well, there's 2 disabled charities, so I'm trying to buy an adapted bike, so for disabled people to ride, and also some normal sort of like step through bikes. And a big shout out to John, because John stepped up straight away and basically agreed to donate some bikes on behalf of Marin for this charity.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to John for doing that. And, you know, he's helped sort of facilitate this as well. So big shout out to John. That's really cool. So, yeah.
Charities, yeah, amazing. That's cool. Good.
Yeah. You know, the plan as well with this was got this platform, and it's like, right, let's try and use this whole thing for something good. And the initial idea was to try and buy a bike for a kid for Christmas who sort of like needed one.
Nice.
But that sort of changed because it's really difficult to do that. Safeguarding issues and finding a family and all that sort of stuff. So chose these two charities in Sheffield that, you know, one of them gets disabled people cycling, and one of them basically gets people that are suffering with mental health issues out of hospital and onto bikes. So that's pretty cool. But yeah,
Really
John
cool.
stepped up.
Good work, mate. That's mega.
Appreciate it, man. There's a link in the description for people to donate money as well. Yeah. Next one. At Dunlop Ian. Matt Jones, what is your favourite stop in the Crankworx Tour, and what do you think is the most difficult?
Okay, favourite is Crankworx Rotorua in New Zealand, even though I've only practiced the course and not competed there.
Yep.
It's in the trees, there's less wind, the jumps are really, really well built. Tom Hay builds those jumps from New Zealand, and he builds the Innsbruck course. So I just like the way he builds jumps.
Okay.
The most difficult is hands down Whistler because it's so exposed. If it gets windy there, it's like you get blown onto your side. It's that windy. They're bigger, big knuckles. Like on a hardtail, if you case a jump, it generally bruises your ankles and heels. Like it's full on. I'm not complaining.
No.
Favourite is Rotorua, and I can't wait to ride it in March and compete there. That's for sure.
Awesome. When's Farm Jam?
That's every other year, so that won't be happening in 2019. It'll be back in 2020. Okay. That's a sick event.
Yeah, it looks awesome, man. I know you've won that thing a couple of times as well, but
I guess he's asking about Crankworx.
Yeah. I was just wondering as well, like when it is, because it just looks like a cool event. I'd love to go check that out.
It's so cool. Yeah.
What else we got?
Who have we got?
We've got at Tim from Wales. Don't know. All right, I'll read the first bit out. Why is it taking you so long to get on the UK's best mountain bike podcast? And I've just ordered a San Quentin. So I'm just going to elaborate on that a little bit. You helped design the San Quentin, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Marin San Quentin is an aggressive hardtail. So it's got a slack head angle. It's built for like proper aggressive riding, but it's just as much at home climbing and doing a cross-country ride sort of thing. So it's been really cool with that bike, and so many people message me to tell me they've bought one, which is crazy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's really nice. So nice one. And I know Tim from Wales.
Awesome.
I see him at like trade shows and riding and stuff. He's a good lad. He's really cool. But the reason it's taken me so long is because I've been extremely slack with getting back to you, haven't I? That's the truth. And I'll be straight up and honest.
It's all good.
But there we are. Now it's happened. And if he listens to the end, then good for him. That means it's been enjoyable.
Oh, dear. Next one. At Jackson Riddle on Instagram. What's the key to consistent progression?
Do everything. Don't just ride one jump or one downhill track or a street spot. Ride them all. And it'll feel like you're not going as far, like progressing as quickly in one discipline. But overall, you're getting better as a bike rider. And that's where you build from. That's your foundation. So, yeah, if you like downhill racing, you should still go to the skate park. And if you like dirt jumping, you should still get on an enduro track or an uplift day. Just do it all. It's hard to do. And you've got to be, I'm lucky enough that I got the chance to do that when I was a bit younger. But that would be my advice, yeah.
Awesome. Next one, at Nadasisti. I hope I've got that right. This is good, actually. How did you gain your first sponsor?
I was at a 4-cross race that was sponsored by Ison Distribution. But, well, really those brands are Identity, Halo, Gusset Components. And they said, "You're doing really well, mate. Would you like..." I already had an Identity Crisis frame that I'd bought. And then they invited me down to their offices and spec'd it up with all their other parts. So that was me being sponsored. And I've ridden Halo wheels ever since. So I was
really
12
cool.
then, and now I'm 24, and I just signed yesterday for Halo again for the 12th year.
Amazing.
And I still run Gusset parts. It's so cool.
Again, just to elaborate a little bit, what's the key to having good and long-lasting relationships with the sponsors?
You have to be aware that it's not a one-way road. Stuff isn't just turning up to your door for you to put on your bike and ride. You have to do as much for the brand as they do for you. So you have to give them product feedback, even if you don't feel like an expert. Tell them how it feels. If you prefer a different size bar or different end stem, you want to send them images they can use. You want to talk about them in a positive way, and if you feel like you're working for that brand, then they're going to want to provide you with all the kit you need. And it doesn't mean it's a full-time job. You can do that from your sofa at home, but it's definitely a two-way street. It's a mutual agreement. It's a partnership, not a sponsorship. So, but yeah, the way I got my first sponsor was I was just extremely lucky. A guy called Matt Andrews approached me, who worked for that company at the time, and said, "We'd love to hook you up with some bits, mate." So that was my story. That's it, really.
That's cool, man. There's a lot of lessons in that as well, because I think one of the negative things of social media is that it's so easy to access. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing that kids just feel like they have to direct message you and just ask for free shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I think kids now, they put so much emphasis on building this social media following and getting free shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know you did a video a while ago, so I'd probably urge people to go and watch that as well, because it's about how to get.
Yeah, I actually did a YouTube video how to get sponsored, where I talk about it more. And just from what I've learned and my experiences, I just hopefully give people an insight into what I've found that works and what doesn't work, really.
Brilliant. Next one came in from, speaking of sponsors, at Gusset Components. Who'd win in an arm wrestle, you or Jono?
My twin brother's a bit lankier than me, so he'll have the mechanical and long arm advantage. But then, I don't know.
Funny.
I do a lot of digging. He does a lot of faffing.
Right.
Which might be evidence that I'd win, but he's always been quite weirdly strong.
Right.
So it might be that weird twin equilibrium, and the whole world would end. They'd cause a black hole, because we've never had an arm wrestle, so it might create a black hole and the whole world will end. So we're not going to do it.
He was funny, man, out at Crankworks. I hung out with him a little bit, watching. I think we were watching the downhill. There was me and Deeks and Jono.
What a crew!
I'm sure it was Deeks, or maybe Deeks wasn't there. Someone. It might have been Ollie. I can't remember. Someone was there.
Deeks would have been there because he's everywhere.
Yeah, it was Deeks then. And the amount of times he got his hand shook. I'm at man, it must be it's kind of funny, but he just goes with it too, doesn't he? He's like, "Oh hi," he just says, "Hiya."
Jono sometimes rings me and says, "Matt, I might have blown it." It's like, "Oh, okay, what have you done, mate? Have you crashed your car?" He's like, "No, this guy's been talking to me at the trade show for the last hour thinking I'm you, and I've just been going along with it, and it's too late now to say anything, and we're talking about sponsorship for next year, and he still
signed you up to some deal."
It's like, "Jono, you just tell him you're not me. It's not that weird. They'll believe you." That's so funny.
You're riding for Apollo next year, mate. Sorry, I couldn't say no. Amazing. All right, we'll just do a couple more.
Cool.
All right. At the Trail Builder. Oh no, it's not. At the Trail Butler. Still a good Instagram name. Being both a competition and media rider, compare the two. What are the pressures from yourself and your sponsors?
It's quite cool that someone's recognised that I do both, actually. It's a good question. I'll be straight up and honest. I've never really felt any pressure from sponsors, because I'm really lucky to do what I do, and I need to do it regardless if I want to continue doing this. So there's no pressure from sponsors, but for myself, it's just balancing making YouTube videos that ultimately aren't going to mean like I win Crankworks.
Mm.
They're going to give an insight into what I do, and they're a lot of fun, and trying to do new tricks that are going to lead to that road. So it's just balance. It's a balancing act. Maybe you can only put sort of 70% into each and not 100% into one.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with that because it means I get to target lots of people and keep people stoked. And the fact that that guy sent a message asking that's really cool.
That's cool. Good answer, man. Good answer. I was just looking for one more, but I'm struggling to find it because it's on Facebook and I don't actually have Facebook on my phone, so I'm just trying to log in real quick. Sorry. I try and avoid that stuff as much as possible anyway. Sorry, dude. One sec. I'm sure I can find it. There's a couple of really good ones. Okay. Found it. At Liam Hale.
Yeah?
Any competitions or jams happening at Woburn this year?
Right, yeah, Woburn, my local bike park. I've been doing so much digging there with Sam Johnson and a guy called Tony. Like, there's been loads of people who have helped up there. So it's going to be probably the best it's ever been in terms of the line of trails.
Dude,
so
it looks
we'll
awesome.
definitely organise a jam, that's for sure. No competitions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really that sort of place. Just jams, definitely trail jams. And when we find a date where we think the jumps are going to be at their best, I'll put that out there because it'd be wicked to see some smiles on people's faces riding them or watching them. So Woburn's going to be mad. It's just hand-built.
It looks so good what you've done.
Where everything started for me, and now it's going to be the best ever.
Amazing. All right, dude. Easy as that.
Cool.
It's been easy, hasn't it?
Well, how did I do?
10 out of 10, I reckon.
Yes. Best score I've ever had.
Thank you so much, dude. Thanks for taking the time out. I really appreciate it.
No, it was nothing, mate. We should do it again as well.
Yeah,
let's get
dude.
my brother on here.
Anytime. Yeah, let's get you and your brother together. We'll just hang out somewhere and chat.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That'd be cool. For people listening who don't already, where can people follow you and find you?
Instagram, Matt Jones MTB. YouTube is Matt Jones. And Xbox, Matt Jones MTB, if you want to play the new Call of Duty.
And there is links to all of your social media, YouTube, everything in the show description for anyone who wants to just get quick access. Just click that.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Well, thanks for having me. Massive shout out to what you're doing, the charity stuff, the podcast. It's all really cool. I'm stoked for you, mate.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Cool. Right. I'll just end the recording. Thanks, dude. Boom. There you have it, folks. Before we wrap up, let's do some shout outs. First up, at Dan Buddha, happy birthday for the 2nd of January. We've got Remap Clothing. Shout out Remap Clothing. At Starsky Love Hutch. Wanted a shout out and an extra mince pie or two. At Ben Wilson wants to shout out Grisdale Mountain Bikes for awesome service. At Kerno Freeze wants to give a shout out to the podcast. Cool, man. Appreciate it. And shout out to the Kerno Enduro crew. At Pedal Addiction, Merry Christmas to all our customers that help keep the dream alive. Wes Mendel, shout out to my Mrs. Claus, Michelle. At Dunlop Ian, big shout out, dude. Casual MTB, Merry Christmas, everyone. Awesome podcast in 2018, and here's to 2019. And my shout out to end this is to you guys for listening. We've made it to the end of 2018. Who'd have bloody thought it? Episode 64. Crazy times. Massive props to everyone. Check all the links in the show description to donate to Project Change. Don't forget, if you're not already, please follow us. It's at The Hook It Podcast on Instagram, Facebook. Twitter's just at Hook It Products. We've got a closed Facebook group. We've got a mail list as well. Just hit the link in the show descriptions below. You can find everything. And massive props as well to Marion Bikes for stepping up and helping out with Project Change. And that is it. Catch you in 2019. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy the ride. Peace.